Mr. Rob Bowen, how you doing today, sir?
I'm well, Joey. How are you doing?
Rob, I'm doing all right. I am doing all right. Kind of want to know this before we really go anywhere. Do you have something that you have been trying to get rid of for longer than you care to admit, but can't seem to do it for whatever reason?
Yeah, I've been trying to get rid of my bad habit of eating too many jelly beans.
All right, all right.
I don't
Is
know if you're
that?
looking for something deeper than that, but I that's one of my downfalls.
I mean, you can go as deep as you want reading into that. I mean, is this a problem that you've had for a long time, or is this a newly developed problem?
No,
But
it's a long term problem. It's a long term problem that I'm
all
trying
right.
to slow the consumption rate down, and I can sit there and just dissolve, eat a whole bag of jelly beans without even thinking about
I mean, at least it's contained in jelly beans. At least it seems so that maybe that's something you got going for you.
it. Yeah, maybe.
For me, Rob, it was like an old grill for the longest time. I put it out to the garbage one time. They didn't take it, and I was like, what am I gonna do with this thing? And just kind of sat there, and I was like, I'm gonna take it apart after like maybe 5 years of it just sitting there. And finally, after that a period of time, I was like, I'm just gonna take it apart and throw it away in pieces, and then it finally worked. But so, Rob, I mean, I guess let's shift over to the agency world and let's talk about maybe if there's something going on in your life over there that maybe has been lingering that you thought, well, we've done this way for so long, but maybe we should maybe look to re-examine things a little bit. Is there anything that is going on in that area that you've kind of thought maybe it's time for a change?
It's great timing for you asking that question. We over COVID took a step back, brought in some new systems, and then about 3 4 months ago, we I decided we're going to bring in different platforms to build a foundation off of to grow. So we have changed our management system. We're in the process of changing our CRM system. We changed our VoIP system about 10 months ago. So it's chaos right now, and my team is ready to kill me. But we're making progress. We're slowly learning the new systems, but they're all great. But as you know, in this wonderful insurance industry, shiny object syndrome, there are many solutions for many people. And so I finally just said, this is the direction we're going. We're going to get rid of all this. We're going to start over, and we're going to get this done correctly.
I mean, was there something that really like sparked the whole thing? I mean, was there something that sort of kicked it all off for you?
Yeah, we had kind of duct taped a bunch of stuff together, and COVID really gave us opportunity. It gave me an opportunity really to kind of step back and look at, what are we doing? There's got to be a better way. So let me start doing some investigation. Let me talk to agents smarter, bigger, maybe better looking than I am, and find out what they're doing, and not talk to those agents that jump on the only way to go is Easy Links, the only way to go is Hawkstone. And I appreciate that, and that's loyalty. But the agent said, well, how do you want to use it? How big are you? Where are you going? What's your commercial personal split? What's your So we kind of came to where we are, and I'm trying very hard to not continue to chase that shiny object. I am famous for it. I'll go to a conference and, oh man, we need this, we need that. That's not how this works. I mean, I can chase things all day long. So we're now setting a long-term foundation for our agency to grow and not have to change. Maybe we add more pieces, but it's mutually exclusive pieces that we would add.
You brought up the idea of talking and consulting with other agents a little bit, and that's something that when I got into the business, it was it was sort of a foreign thing. Even still to this day, I think depending on where you live and occupy in the space, like that collaborative nature is something that is, I mean, I guess maybe new. What was that like for you to reach out to those folks and to like you said, go to the people that were actually going to give you some honest feedback and not steer you maybe in a one sided direction?
It was actually easy. Um, I've had the pleasure of meeting some very well-known agents in the insurance world, and they'll make introductions for me. I might listen to someone on a podcast, and I'll reach out to them on Facebook Messenger or whatever. And I got to say, 95% of them will come right back and say, "Hey, give me a call. I'll walk you through what I do. I'll explain what's good, what's bad. You walk me through what you do, and let's see what we can do for you." But I have found the most agents out there understand that we're not competitors. We are here to help each other, and we all have different experiences. I might be able to help an agent who's 10 times my size just by something I say, and that probably hasn't happened yet. But And that's the collaborative nature of the group that I'm trying to hang with, and how giving these people are their time is amazing to me.
Well, and I guess has that been your experience throughout your entire time on the industry? Because I know you were dabbling outside the industry. You had a previous career sort of before you got into insurance. But what is your experience? Has that kind of been the way it's always been for you, or was there a time maybe where it didn't feel that way?
Well, I was a farmer's agent for a while. So in the captive world, it doesn't work that way. It's a dog eat dog, no, everyone's your enemy. I had two very good friends who were farmers agents right around me. We did collaborate together, but in general, it doesn't work that way. So my experience started about 4 years ago as I started to switch towards indie. And honestly, I've never had a problem. There's certain people that don't want to collaborate, and that's okay. Everyone has their own reasons for doing it or not doing it, but in general, most of the people do, Joe. It's great because I learn a lot, and they're there for really simple questions that I might go down a rabbit hole if I don't ask it.
I guess maybe I didn't realize it's only been on the independent side for around 4 years then.
Yeah, yeah.
So what actually finally brought you over? What was the moment that said, "Hey, all right, enough of this one horse, one trick pony thing. I need more choices, more options in my life."
It was. I didn't see a way to grow the agency and actually make money. It just seemed like more stuff got dumped on us. My view of the world is the captive model. The answer to everything is hire more people because the systems don't change, right? It just wasn't sustainable. I just looked at it as like this is not sustainable, and we started writing a lot of excess surplus. We were allowed to write outside, and commercial business, and the whole world opened up to me. I was like, holy Christmas, look at this. I have access to 50 carriers through RPS, for example. And, I have underwriters that actually want to help me write business, and this is great. So, yeah, that's just the way it's been.
Obviously, like walking into like the sort of the mega store of insurance, right? The big box. Like there's so many things here, especially on that, like you said, the wholesale side, because it gets very exotic and very very specialized. What have you started leaning one way or the other? I mean, even being only 4 years in, there's agents that are 24 years in that have yet to sort of get an interest towards something. Is there something that has maybe jumped out at you as being sort of a fan favorite per se?
Are you talking about a niche, specific niche?
Yeah, just like lines of business that you sort of enjoy writing, the
Yeah,
clients you're running across, just the overall experience selling the policies.
yeah. I work with real estate investors. I love doing that. We write quite a bit with them. A lot of it is educating real estate investors and the way the market is right now. Everybody's a real estate investor or everyone's a real estate agent, usually when the market collapses. But we write quite a bit of that, and I work with like small to medium sized businesses. I really enjoy that because I'm a business owner like they are. I have similar struggles that they have. We can have a very different conversation than trying to sell someone an auto and a home policy. We can network with each other. We can help each other. And a lot of small business owners, insurance included, you don't know what you don't know, right? When you talk to small business owners, they don't fully understand the insurance side of it. Oh, I just need this. My landlord asked me for this. Well, yeah, that's true, but there's a couple other policies you probably want to have too, because it will protect you from A, B, and C. So I really enjoy those small business conversations and the real estate investing guys.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. Sort of the common theme here is like, like really not being afraid to like throw yourself into the deep end and sort of open yourself up to more opportunities, more possibilities. Was that something that I guess maybe you were seeking at some point in time? Because a lot of times, agents will even when they get in the independent side, when they look into to wholesale or when they look into anything else, it just sometimes feels overwhelming. Like they're sort of getting away too much from what they know. But it seems like you kind of embrace that every time that you've had that opportunity. Is that something that maybe is intentional in some ways?
Yeah, I believe that it's easier to beg for forgiveness than to ask for permission. Sometimes they get you in trouble, but generally my experience is, hey, let's try it. As long as you're doing right by the client. I mean, you don't want to write something you really have no idea what you're doing. But that's where underwriters come in. That's where the relationships that I have with wholesalers and large carriers, and I have people keeping me honest. I've heard of agents that pick a niche and die for it and do very very well. I I think that's hard to do. We've kind of stumbled into our niches, and then we focus on because you never know. I mean, I'm still a small agency. This is not the end game. It's like that first job out of college, right? You're probably not going to have that job when you're in your 50s. So let's keep trying. Let's keep exploring, and maybe we stumble upon something. Maybe we find a niche that by the first guy that walks in. So let's give it a shot. You really have nothing to lose um, as long as I feel comfortable that we're again insuring the client correctly and doing right by the client. I'm willing to go down that rabbit hole every day.
I don't know if there's really an answer to this question, but we'll give it a shot. I mean, was there any way that you were to maybe find a way to be comfortable in that sort of environment, to not necessarily have all the control, be okay not having the answers, and like you said, trusting the people that do, and not necessarily relying on your insurance ego in a lot of cases, where some people feel the need to have all those answers in a lot of cases.
What was the question again, Joey? I missed the beginning of that. I
I
apologize.
don't even know if there's I don't know if there's a question necessarily. It's just how, like, I guess, is that something that you've maybe been okay with? How did you become comfortable in that sort of environment versus like not having that opposite reaction to those scenarios?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always felt that a lot of it comes from my military background, where I'm a believer. Let's just make a decision and go for it. Right? No one's going to die. Right? Military, someone could get hurt. In the business world, no one's going to die. So let's do it. The struggle of that is you got to be able to have enough self awareness to take a step back if you make a bad choice and step back out of it. But in general, if you don't make a decision, you've made a decision. And I think that's where people struggle. Like, well, no, let's analyze it again. Let's have another meeting. I just go. And I'm not saying that's the correct way to do things because that can come back to bite you sometimes. But let's just go down the path and see what happens. If you never try it, you'll never know. So I just that's the way I've always been.
I would imagine more often than not you end up being relatively okay. Like you said, I bet you can count on one hand the number of times that it has come back to bite you versus the
Yep.
countless of times that it has not. Would that be a correct assumption?
That's a correct assumption. And even when it does bite, it's not usually not that big of a deal. I mean, I'm not saying you go out and pour hundreds of thousands of dollars into something without really doing an investigation and understand it. But a lot of our decisions in the insurance world are little decisions. Do we want to go this? Okay, let's try that this week. Let's try that this month. And if it doesn't work, there's plenty of other options. I'm very blessed that I have a lot of people with a lot of experience who I can reach out to, like we talked in the beginning. So if I'm starting to feel like it's not working, I can call them and they can go, well, yeah, that's typical. Keep going or stop or try this. And they're giving me good advice. But I tend to just let's just do it, and we'll figure out the aftermath later.
You kind of alluded to sort of the stakes surrounding the decisions, right? And coming from the military, I've always been fascinated with people that have obviously had to make that transition, right? Because it is such a dramatic downshift in terms of the severity of whatever you're doing, right? And
Yeah,
how do you even come close to acclimating? But I guess of most industries, insurance does have some real stakes, and like you said, as long as you're doing right by the client, because if you do screw up something, there are generally real consequences that could have some ramifications. Was that at all sort of an allure to kind of bring you towards this industry, or what was the story there?
it was more about I spent some time on Wall Street after I got out of the military, and I went through 2008, which was a bloodbath down with the mortgage market collapse and everything happened down on Wall Street. I had some other jobs, sales jobs, and then at 50, I said, I want to start my own business. I want to do something. I don't want to be. I don't want to. I want to be my own boss. That's a double-edged sword, as we all know. But I was like, no, I'm done with this corporate thing. I said, let's start an insurance agency. You can make it whatever you want. That's what I've learned. I didn't know that in the beginning, but you can be a lifestyle agency, which is a term I've heard. You can grow. You can have niches. You can do anything in this business. You can decide every day what you want to be and go for it. Some days that's terrifying, honestly, but it's fun. It's exciting. Every day is different. Every day is an adventure. You never know what's going to happen that day. A claim comes in, or client's upset, or whatever. I mean, every day is different, and I really like that. It's not that boring 9 to 5 job by any stretch of the imagination.
So you said at 50 you decided to kind of step out on your own. Was there ever a moment where you kept saying to yourself, "I've missed my window. Like I'm just kind of this is where I'm going," or what was it that made you say, "Nah, this is I'm going to be able to do this. Now's the time. It doesn't really matter."
Yeah, I think it's probably like we talked about before. I just said let's do it. I probably didn't think it through as much as I should have, honestly. But let's do it and then figure it out and keep pushing, keep learning. That's the key to this is to keep learning, keep putting good people around yourself. Always, don't be the smartest guy in the room. That's not hard for you to do, but keep learning from people better than you. And as long as you keep going forward, I think you can do pretty well in this industry. As you and I both know, the last, let's call it 2 years, pre-COVID and smack into COVID, this industry's changed a lot. We've accelerated technology. We've accelerated a lot of things because we had to, and that's exciting. I mean, people can bash the insurance industry where, we're still faxing, we're still doing this, we're still in that. Okay, but a lot of people are not doing that. I mean, this industry is changing dramatically just in the last 2 years. It's amazing how quickly people have been kind of pushed towards certain things. There's so much out there. There's so many of those shiny objects. There's so many new entrants into the insurance world, and that says a lot. I think. I mean, there's big money coming into this industry, and that says a lot. People like this industry. We have that thing called recurring revenue, which most businesses don't have. We're obviously pandemic proof, right? A lot of, I mean, people did struggle, but in general, we did pretty well, I think. I mean, I don't look at those numbers, but the insurance industry didn't fail. A lot of agents didn't go under. So because again, that recurring revenue. So it's just building that asset, and that's what's exciting. And you can retire, and I'll put air quotes around that at any point, right? I mean, it's what does retirement mean when you own an insurance agency? I don't know. You work 5 hours a day. You work part time. You go to travel for a month, but you have a laptop. There's a lot of ways to do this, and I like that. I mean, I've got a ways to go to retirement, but I have a lot of options, and that's very different than having that 9 to 5 job.
From all that last 2 years, last 5 years of getting on the independent side, maybe what has surprised you the most in terms of what has changed or what you maybe didn't anticipate being sort of at this moment in time?
That's a great question. I think what surprised me at most in the beginning was kind of how archaic a lot of things were. A lot of the processes were, this is the way we've always done it. And that drives me bananas. That's driven me bananas my whole life. But what I liked over the last 2 years is, I've seen some companies, some vendors, wholesalers really step up to the plate, and figure this out. I mean, they really have resilience. They really said, okay, we got a problem. We have this thing called COVID. How do we keep going? How do we serve whoever we're serving? And I think a lot of the indie tech or insure tech, whatever we want to call it, there's a lot more of that coming out of the woodwork now. And I say to all of them as they call my office almost on a daily basis, just do one thing well. That's all I want you to do. And there are vendors out there that do one thing and only one thing, and they do it really, really well. As long as I can integrate you in or integrate you in my systems, I'm good. Don't try to be a jack of all trades. And I think that's where a lot of these guys fall down. So I've seen a lot of those. I don't want to call them a silo because that tends to have a negative connotation, but I've seen these guys. Here's the pain point in the industry. We're going to fix that one pain point. We're not going to worry about everything else, all the noise around it. Let's just fix it. And I think those vendors will do well. And I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot more of that in the last couple of years.
All right, Rob, I got three more questions for you, sir.
Okay.
First one, very simply, what is one thing you hope you never forget?
I hope I never forget how much I enjoy what I do. Because there are days where I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I here? I get beaten up by something, or it's just a long day, or a lot of stuff happens because I don't want to forget this is a great industry. I love what I do. And I don't want to forget from where I came because, I started scratch, started out with nothing, no customer, no revenue, open the doors. And as everyone jokes, hey, open door, they all come in. That's not how this works. So I don't want everyone to forget how much I enjoy what I do, despite what maybe a bad day or a busy day or whatever. Because this is again, I love what I do. So
All right, now on the other side of this, and this might not be a problem, but let's try and get something specific. What's one thing you still have yet to learn?
a lot. But the one thing that I'm focusing on right now is really how to run a business, not an insurance agency, but how to run a business. I have some good people around me helping me do that. But that's one thing I really have to learn. I really have to learn, a business is a business. I mean, our revenue sources are different and, the balance sheet might be different, but, how do you run a business? I don't, I kind of know how to do it. I honestly been winging it for a lot of the time. We've done pretty well, but I really need to learn how to run a business correctly, and because that will help us grow, and that will help us as we get bigger to, you know, run the business as efficiently as possible.
All right, Rob, last question to you, sir. If I were to hand you a magic wand of sorts to reshape, change, alter, speed up, really any part of insurance, what is that thing? Where is it going? And what's it doing?
I think it goes back to what I said before. I wish that vendors, as they try to come to market to solve a problem in the insurance world, would just do one thing and do it well. I work with some vendors, they do a simple task. It makes my life so much easier. To that same vein, I wish people would stop looking at technology as an expense. Everyone's looking for ROI. Everyone's looking for, no, don't look at it that way. How much time is it saving you?
Mm-hmm.
If you're still collecting checks, pay $20 a month. If you collect one check, how much is your time worth? How much? I mean, just so you have the vendors do one thing, do it well, and sell it correctly. They don't sell a lot of their stuff correctly. It's yeah, we can do that. I mean, we were all salespeople, right? At some point in our lives, where yeah, it does. Yeah, we're great. Yeah. Just sell it correctly. Stick to the points you're good at. Don't try to be a jack of all trades.
Rob, this has been fantastic, sir. I'm going to leave it right there.
Thanks, Joey. I really appreciate it. Have a great afternoon.